Your shotgun is basically a personality test with a trigger. Whether it's Grandpa's dusty side-by-side or a high-tech semi-auto, that boomstick reveals more about you than you think. Let's unpack what your shotgun says about you. Remington 870 Express, the nostalgic optimist. You bought an 870 Express because you remember when Remington meant quality, and you're still holding on to that dream like it's 1985? Your gun has seen some things: rust spots that appeared overnight, an extractor that's more moody than your teenager, and a finish that started flaking off after the first rain. But you keep telling people they just don't make them like they used to, while secretly Googling 870 Express extraction problems for the 15th time this month. You've replaced more parts than a NASCAR pit crew, but you refuse to admit that maybe, just maybe, you should have bought the Wingmaster instead. Deep down, you know your buddy's Mossberg 500 runs smoother, but you'll defend Big Green until your dying breath or until another shell gets stuck, whichever comes first. Benelli, Super Black Eagle, the waterfowl, obsessive. Your Super Black Eagle costs more than some people's cars, and you want everyone at the duck blind to know it. You spent $2,000 on a gun that shoots the same shells as a $300 pump, but you call it an investment in reliability, while carefully wiping down every drop of marsh water like it's liquid kryptonite. You own more camo patterns than a military surplus store. You know the migration patterns of 17 different waterfowl species, and you've definitely gotten into arguments about steel-shot ballistics at family dinners. Your gun cycles everything from light loads to 3.5-inch magnums, which is good because you bought a case of every premium waterfowl load ever made and you're going to shoot them all, even if it bankrupts you. Mossberg Maverick 88, the practical survivor. You walked into Walmart with $200 and a mission, and somehow walked out with a functioning shotgun that actually works. Sure, it's not pretty, the action feels like stirring concrete, and the safety is in a weird spot, but it goes bang every single time, and that's literally all you need. You don't care about brand prestige, fancy finishes, or what the internet thinks. You care about putting food on the table and keeping bad guys away from your family without filing for bankruptcy. Your Maverick lives behind the bedroom door, under the truck seat, or in the corner of the closet, always loaded and never cleaned, because reliable tools don't need babying. If you're enjoying getting called out by your shotgun choices, smash that subscribe button and ring the bell. We've got plenty more coming that'll make you question every gun purchase you've ever made. Beretta A400, the Speed Demon. Your A400 is faster than your reflexes and more expensive than your mortgage payment, which perfectly matches your personality of wanting the best even when you can't actually use it to its full potential. You brag about immediate 6-second follow-up shots while taking 3 seconds to actually acquire your target. But hey, at least when you do shoot, that second shell is already chambered and ready to miss too. You probably compete in some form of clay shooting, own gear that costs more than most people's entire hunting setup, and have strong opinions about gas systems that nobody asked for. Your gun is absolutely beautiful, functions flawlessly, and makes you feel like a professional even though your scores suggest otherwise. Winchester Model 1897, the Time Traveler. You own a trench gun because you're either a World War I history buff or you just really like the idea of slam-firing your way through imaginary Kaiser Wilhelm's army. Your shotgun is older than your grandfather, weighs more than a medieval sword, and has more character in its worn bluing than most people have in their entire personality. You probably know way too much about the Meuse-Argonne offensive. You've definitely watched They Shall Not Grow Old at least 5 times, and you reload with paper hulls because that's how God intended shotgun shells to be made. Sure, it kicks like an angry mule, and the safety is more of a suggestion than a feature, but it's got soul, history, and the kind of reliability that comes from being overbuilt in an era when men were men and steel was steel. Stuger M3000, the Budget Balancer. You wanted a Benelli, but your bank account suggested otherwise, so you bought the Turkish cousin that shares the same inertia system and most of the reliability for half the price. You tell people it's basically the same gun, and honestly, you're not entirely wrong. It cycles just fine, patterns decently, and has never let you down when it mattered. You're practical, resourceful, and slightly defensive about your choice because you know gun snobs are judging your Turkish imports, but your birds are just as dead as theirs, and your wallet is significantly less empty. You probably shop at Costco, drive a reliable used car, and make smart financial decisions that let you actually afford to go hunting instead of just owning expensive guns. Ithaca Model 37, the vintage purist. Your bottom-ejecting Ithaca is the shotgun equivalent of driving a 1960s muscle car. It's beautiful, functional, and completely unnecessary in today's world, but you love it anyway. You appreciate the engineering elegance of shells going in and out the same port. You've probably read every John M. Browning biography ever written, and you get genuinely excited when someone asks about your gun's unique features. You're the type of person who buys tools that will outlast your grandchildren, appreciates craftsmanship over marketing, and believes that some designs were perfected decades ago and don't need improving. Your Ithaca is probably older than you are, works better than guns made yesterday, and will still be running long after the plastic fantastic crowd has moved on to their third replacement. Franchi Affinity, the European snob. You bought an Affinity because you wanted something with Italian heritage but couldn't afford a real Benelli, and you're totally fine with that compromise. Your gun has that European styling that makes American shotguns look like they were designed by committee, and you definitely mention the Italian engineering every chance you get. You probably drink wine instead of beer, know the difference between good olive oil and great olive oil, and have opinions about pasta shapes that border on pretentious. Your shotgun cycles beautifully, looks gorgeous in the field, and gives you just enough European credibility to feel sophisticated while blasting clays or chasing birds. Hudson Escort, the bargain hunter. You saw a semi-auto shotgun for $300 and thought, how bad could it be? And honestly, the answer is, not that bad actually. Your Turkish import might not win any beauty contests, and the fit and finish looks like it was assembled by caffeinated teenagers, but it goes bang, cycles shells, and gets the job done for about the same price as a fancy dinner. You're not trying to impress anyone at the gun club, you just wanted something that works without requiring a second mortgage. You probably clip coupons, shop sales, and drive your cars until the wheels fall off, because you understand that value matters more than brand names. CZ'd Drake, the Eastern European enthusiast. Your CZ'd overdotching under represents your belief that Czechs know how to build things right, even if nobody can pronounce the company name correctly. You appreciate the old-world craftsmanship, the attention to detail, and the fact that your gun costs half what the Italian equivalents do while shooting just as well. You probably know way too much about Cold War history, have strong opinions about beer that isn't American, and believe that Eastern European engineering is criminally underrated. Your Drake breaks open with a satisfying click, shoulders naturally, and makes you feel like you should be hunting pheasants in the Czech countryside instead of shooting clays at your local range. TriStar Viper G2, the Turkish gambler. You rolled the dice on a Turkish gas gun because you wanted semi-auto performance without semi-auto prices, and somehow you actually won. Your Viper runs everything you feed it, from light target loads to heavy magnums, which is more than you can say for some guns that cost 3 times as much. You're willing to take calculated risks, you research your purchases thoroughly, and you're not afraid to buy from companies that most people haven't heard of. You probably got into cryptocurrency early, shop at ethnic grocery stores for better prices, and understand that sometimes the best deals come from unexpected places. Weatherby SA08, the brand loyalist. You bought a Weatherby because Roy Weatherby was a magnum visionary, and you respect that legacy, even if your SA08 is actually made in Turkey and shoots regular shells like everyone else's gun. You probably own other Weatherby products, you definitely know the story behind the company's founding, and you have strong opinions about cartridge development that most people find boring. Your shotgun works fine, looks decent, and carries a name that means something to people who understand firearms history, which is exactly what you were looking for. H&R Partner Pump, the no-frills philosopher. Your partner pump is proof that you don't need to spend a fortune to own a functional shotgun, and you're perfectly happy being the poster child for that philosophy. You bought it because it was cheap, it works, and you're not trying to impress anyone with your purchasing decisions. Your gun might not be smooth, pretty, or prestigious, but it's honest, reliable, and gets the job done without any drama or financial stress. You probably change your own oil, grow some of your own food, and believe that simple solutions are usually the best solutions. Savage Stevens 555, the over-under optimist. You wanted the classic over-under experience without the classic over-under price tag, so you bought a Stevens and hoped for the best. Your gun breaks open like it should, fires when you pull the triggers, and selects barrels in the correct order, which honestly covers about 90% of what you need from an over to under. Sure, the wood looks like it came from a furniture store and the engraving was probably done with a Dremel tool, but it shoulders well and breaks clays just fine. You're practical, optimistic, and refuse to let perfect be the enemy of good enough. Browning Satori, the Skeet Aristocrat. Your Satori represents everything you think you are. Refined, reliable, and worth the premium price. You probably belong to a country club, know what choke means in context other than what happens when you miss an easy shot, and have strong opinions about proper shooting etiquette. Your gun was expensive enough to make your spouse question your priorities, beautiful enough to make other shooters jealous, and reliable enough to actually justify the price tag. You shoot registered competitions, reload your own shells with components that cost more than most people's factory ammo, and secretly judge everyone who shows up with a pump gun. Mossberg 930, the Tactical Traditionalist. Your 930 is what happens when you want a semi-auto speed but also want ghost ring sights, extended magazines, and the ability to mount enough accessories to outfit a small army. You probably watch too many tactical training videos, own at least one plate carrier you've never actually needed, and use words like force multiplier in casual conversation. Your shotgun has more rails than a subway system, weighs more than it should, and looks like it's ready for urban warfare, but you're actually just shooting clays and maybe hunting birds. You're living the tactical lifestyle even if your biggest threat is running out of coffee before the gun store opens. Escort Magnum, the Waterfowl. Warrior. Your Escort Magnum is built for one thing, sending 3.5-inch magnums downrange at speeds that would make a lawyer nervous and with recoil that rearranges your shoulder bones. You hunt waterfowl like it's your religion, you know the difference between every steel shot size ever made, and you've probably gotten into arguments about shot placement on geese that bordered on academic dissertations. Your gun might be rough around the edges, but when those big Canadas are working the decoys at 50 yards, you want something that hits like Thor's hammer, not something that looks pretty in a gun safe. There you have it. Every scattergun owner properly diagnosed and probably slightly offended. Drop a like if we nailed your shotgun personality, subscribe for more brutal honesty about your gear choices, and tell us in the comments which boomstick owns your heart.